What is happening, people, and welcome to today's video where I am super pumped to share with you guys my latest sponsorship opportunity because I am officially now a Cerberus strength athlete. Yes, for those who are wondering, I am still sponsored by First Form, but that is more of the supplement side. If you guys are not familiar with Cerberus, they cover a lot of the protective equipment and strength equipment and have been a huge, massive backer and supporter of the Strongman community as well as the powerlifting community since 2012. So I am beyond stoked to be part of the team. So thank you so much, Ken. These guys are an awesome company that provide really good equipment for very affordable prices. So if you do find yourself in the market for some sort of strength or protective equipment, please check them out first. If you like what you see, then you can use the code NEVERSATE to save yourself 10% site-wide. And for those of you interested in what I personally tried and used over the past couple months that I would recommend, and in the description box down below, I list all the strength equipment that I have tried and would recommend, as well as all the supplements that I've tried and would recommend there as well. So it's nice and easy for all of you in the market. Now, by far, one of the most fun parts of becoming a new sponsored athlete is you get to go through the company's catalog and kind of make a wish list of stuff that you want to try to see if you would recommend it to your viewers. So as going through that, I kind of realized that I definitely had a hierarchy of protective equipment ranging from stuff that I will not lift without all the way down to stuff where I'm like, I really don't know that that's worth spending the money on. Now, I have made other videos in the past about protective equipment explaining when to use it, how to use it, where to use it, what reps, percentages, all that kind of stuff. So if you have those questions, please visit the description box down below because I will leave a link to that video. But this video in particular is going to be going through just like I was and kind of telling you guys, this is my most important piece of safety equipment. This is my next. This is my next. I would not lift with this. I would not lift without that. All those types of things. So those of you who do not have a ton of money to just spend on a bunch of junk, I will tell you what I think is worth it and what I think is not, because I think the list is probably going to shock a lot of you. All right, so the very first thing that a lot of people don't even consider safety is going to be chalk. Now, chalk made the top of my list. This is my #1 thing that I will not lift without. And the reason why is absolutely for safety, not only performance. If you are lifting in a place that does not allow you to use chalk, do me a favor, do not buy any strength equipment, do not buy any supplements. Use that money to spend on gas and a better gym membership to a place where you are not a big fish in a small pond. If your place does not allow you to use chalk, just moving to an environment where people are going to be more serious and there are more serious lifters with better goals and you are going to be a very small fish in a big pond, trust me, that is going to do a lot more for you than anything I'm going to mention in this video whatsoever. This dumb stuff is so important to me that the last time I walked into a commercial gym was around like 2009, 2000 gym kind of time, and it was a Gold's, and I was kind of the chalk ninja. I was the guy who came in the off times with like the Tupperware container, and I chalk up in the corner, make sure I didn't have any excess, but I needed it. It was a safety thing for me. I was deadlifting around like 600 pounds at the time with crappy commercial bars via 2009. So like specialty bars weren't even really that much of a thing, and they certainly didn't show up at Gold. So it was really bad bars, and I thought I needed it for safety reasons. And finally, a manager caught up to me and was like, "You're the chalk guy." And I'm like, I am definitely the chalk guy. I am guilty. But I cleaned up after myself after it. Anyway, I didn't think it was a big deal. The manager did. He was like, "Look, these are the rules. You cannot use chalk." And I was like, this is a safety thing. I'm deadlifting 600 pounds. If something goes wrong here, I'm gonna get hurt. You're gonna get sued. Let me use the chalk. And he said, "These are the rules." And I said, well, then I quit. So we went over, we canceled my membership, and that was the last time I walked in a commercial gym. Now, that did mean that I had to drive 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour to better gyms that were more serious, but my lifting definitely took off and everything changed for me simply because I went from a big fish in a small pond that wouldn't let me use chalk to a very small fish in a big pond and realized what was possible. And I never made more gains than when I was allowed to use chalk freely, and also it changed my perspective. So if you are a place that doesn't allow you to use chalk, the #1 thing that I would say is get someplace that allows you to and use it correctly. It smells good. Now, the second piece of protective equipment that's gonna surprise a lot of you are Strongman shorts or hot pants. They're basically like neoprene little shorts, right? They're like a wetsuit basically that you wear underneath of your regular lifting shorts. Now, a lot of people wear like Under Armour type of stuff, but that is not heavy enough, guys. I do not know one reputable strongman in the world that does not use some form of strongman shorts or hot pants. The reason being is that if you are doing strongman training, then you do a ton, like literally 100 extra reps of moderate to heavyweight deadlifts that you did not really expect and you don't really consider deadlifts. Because every single time you pick up a sandbag, every time you pick up farmers, every time you pick up a log, you're doing a deadlift, a deadlift, a deadlift, a deadlift, and it might only be 300-400 pounds, but you're doing multiple reps, under speed, under load, in weird positions, picking up a stone from a massive, massive deficit, and your hips take a beating, your hips and your hamstrings. So what those pants do is allow you to just keep the area a little bit more warm. It does create a little swampy type area, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it helps so much with hip pain and just dealing with a lot of injuries and just little nagging problems that happen with strongmen that really can take care of your hips. So personally, I would, after chalk, if I don't have my heat pants, I feel completely naked. I don't care about sleeves, belts, anything like that. If I don't have my hot pants, I feel vulnerable. I feel like something's gonna like pop out of socket and I'm gonna get hurt. Now, my personal third most important piece of protective equipment, which again I think might shock some of you, is going to be knee sleeves. Now, it's kind of between the belt and the knee sleeves depending on the situation, so I'm gonna explain it to you. If I'm doing training and I'm doing anything that is going to be like 85% or higher, so I'm going for like 3 rep maximums, 2 rep maximums, 1 rep maximums, then I'm gonna want a belt with me, right? Because I'm dealing with a little bit more serious weights. And honestly, when I'm doing heavy, heavy lifts, the belt does help. Number one, with support. I can definitely lift more weight with a belt than I can without. It definitely helps kind of forgive some of the sins. If I do something stupid, I have less of a chance of getting a little tweak or an injury. And then number 3, it also is a great kind of trigger in my mind for pushing my belly out and actually doing the breathing and bracing the way that I'm supposed to. So the belt is very, very important if I am up in those types of rep ranges. However, if I'm doing volume, if I am doing reps of 5, if I'm doing reps of 8 or anything like that, then I would personally rather have the knee sleeves. Now, there are different levels of knee sleeves. You can get ones that are like super thick that will allow some support. And support means basically that you can get a little pop out of the bottom. So it might add 5 pounds to your squat, maybe 10 pounds to your squat. It's not gonna add something like a knee wrap or something like that would, but you can get a little pop out. But something like these, which are a little bit thinner, are really designed to kind of give your knee a hug. It just kind of gives it a feeling of being compressed and just kind of supported so that when you're going down there, it feels like the ligaments and your patella is being held in place and everything like that. I know it's not, but it feels that way. And that alone is enough to make me feel better. It keeps the joint warm. And someone like me who is 42 years old and also has a lot of years under the knee belt and a couple surgeries, it does definitely help me with my arthritis and stuff like that. I don't really deal with tendonitis in my knees too often, but I know for people who do, these definitely do help because of the warmth. So number 3 on my list is going to be the knee sleeves. They're gonna edge out the belt. Number 4 though is definitely gonna be the belt. I know belt is pretty much the first thing that people buy, and I probably would encourage that. But one thing that I will say about the belt is that people rely on it oftentimes like a crutch. Now, like I said before, if you're going in the higher rep ranges, I think this can save you. It can definitely help you as an aid. And literally, I know people that will gain 100 to 150 pounds just by putting on their belt because they know how to use it as a tool and use it the right way, especially when we're talking about strongman equipment, because this thing definitely becomes a tool to cheat. Cheating probably isn't the right word, but there are a lot of events where this thing can be kind of a shelf and be used to help you out. So I think a belt is very, very important for being protective. However, if you do not know how to breathe and brace correctly, then all the belt in the world is not gonna save your back. You're eventually gonna hurt yourself very, very badly. So number 1 is learning how to breathe and brace correctly. If you need to know how to do that, definitely check out my entire playlist on that because I beat that horse to death. But on heavier weights, if you do know how to breathe and brace, like I said, this is going to be a massive kind of mindful reminder for you to push in a 360-degree type of awareness into this thing, and it can keep you very, very safe, and it can add a lot of pounds. So I think it is very, very important, but honestly, I would rather have hot pants than a belt. I would rather have my knee sleeves than a belt, unless I'm going to go seriously heavy and try to do a stupid lift for Instagram or something like that. Oh, one last thing about the belt that I did want to share with you guys. If you are one of those beltless dudes who is like a huge proponent of the beltless squat, deadlift, and overhead press, then that is great as long as you know how to breathe and brace correctly. However, please understand that you will never, ever, ever, ever get as strong as you could have staying beltless the entire time if you just belted up some of the time. For example, if your belted squat goes up, I can guarantee that your beltless squat goes up as well, and a lot faster than if you just worked on it without your belt. Maybe you get up there, maybe, I really, really doubt it, but it definitely is going to go a heck of a lot faster if you throw the belt on, you work your way up, and then you can take the belt out and you can always, it will climb. It will just continue to chase each other. So even if you don't want to use the belt as like a crutch or anything like that, you should use it as a tool to move up and kind of throw super maximal loads on your spine and your core and your legs sometimes. So if they get used to that, they grow, they expand, they adapt, and then when you take the belt off, trust me, you'll be happy with the results. Number 5, elbow sleeves. Now, I don't really know what else I'm gonna say about elbow sleeves that I didn't just say about knee sleeves. Like, there are different layers, so some will give you a little bit of pop out of the bottom of your press, a little bit of support. Others are just meant to keep the joint warm. I know a lot of people who suffer from elbow problems, like golfer's elbow or tennis elbow, will find the warmth of an elbow sleeve, even if it is a little bit lighter like these are. These aren't not really made for a lot of support. These are made more for keeping the joint warm. We'll get a little bit of relief just from the compression and the warmth. But if you guys are really dealing with that, then this is just kind of a Band-Aid. There is a video that I've done, I guess I'll leave that in the description down below as well, about how to deal with elbow pain. And a lot of people's problem is that you're spending so much time closing your hands, but you're not spending a lot of times under pressure opening your hands, so I give you some solutions for that. I'll leave you the link and it should help you with a lot of that. But honestly, I do use these on my heavy pressing days. Again, I really don't throw these on if I'm not gonna be above 80%. I just don't even really bother with it. So how important they are for your pressing, I think really depends on how important your pressing day is. If it's more of a rep day or volume day, you might want to throw it on because of the volume. But for me, they were more important in my past than they are currently. Next on my list of importance, and remember we are on number 6, so we're getting pretty far down the line here, is lifting straps. Now I know virtually every single person watching this owns a pair of lifting straps, because this is your first step into the game, unless you're a weirdo who decided to wear gloves. Do not wear gloves. Everyone's making fun of you. Take them off now before you hear the comments. The straps are very, very important for a lot of people, but I think these are the most overused piece of equipment in the gym. Look, if you are a strongman and you are doing things like farmer's walks and other grip related things, and you want to use your straps on your deadlifts, then you go ahead, because you have a reason to kind of save your grip. Also, for strongman, there are a lot of implements where you need to use straps, like a car deadlift. Most likely you're not going to be picking up a car without using some sort of straps on that frame, and things like that, some axle stuff. There are certain times when straps are super, super important for strongmen. However, a lot of times those straps are longer, or they're figure 8 straps, or things like that. If you are a powerlifter or just a regular gym goer, the only time that I would recommend you using straps is on heavy bent over rows. Like, we're talking like 365 pounds, 400 pounds, where your hands literally are going to have a super hard time staying in the pronated position, holding on to the reversing of that bar. Outside of that, honestly, like, I really feel like you should be using your grip. When I see people just in the gym tugging on a regular bar with straps, part of me dies a little bit, because I grew up at a time when like using straps was frowned upon. And I still kind of frown upon it, as you guys can tell. I think it's great, again, for bent over rows that are super, super heavy, not lightweights. I think they're great for using on some rows to learn how to actually use your back, because then you don't need to worry about your grip so much. Even on like a single arm dumbbell row, it has its place on a croc row, things like that. However, I would not overuse them. I think it creates a problem with people's grip. Me personally, because I've never been a proponent of straps, my deadlift has never gone heavy enough to outdo my grip, right? So my deadlift got up around 750 pounds, and I have no problem holding 750 pounds in just my little plain palms, right? There were plenty of implements that I did need to use straps on, but up to that weight, my deadlift never got stronger than my grip. So I would highly, highly encourage that you use these sparingly, again, on rows or strongman implements where it calls for it. But if you are just using it because your grip's a little bit tired, I would tell you to push a little further into that grip exhaustion. Use the straps if you're gonna get hurt, but chalk is better than straps. And then my 7th and final piece, a type of equipment that I really use at all, because this is the last thing that I really use, would be knee wraps. Now, I haven't used them in many, many years because I haven't really been trying to push up my squat, but I use this the same way that I use the belt. Not necessarily for any type of security or safety. Basically, it is to load my spine with a lot more weight than I could otherwise. So my spine gets used to it, my core gets used to it, my legs get used to doing a 750-pound squat, then a 600-pound squat without any wraps. Gets a lot easier, and my body kind of adapts to it. So I use them sparingly as a tool. It might be a little bit more advanced than some of you are interested in getting into, and it can be very, very dangerous. You don't know what you're doing, so don't just kind of mess around with that. Take some time to kind of build up to some pretty big numbers on your own before you mess around with anything like that. But that is what I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for your attention, for your patience, for your support, all of that stuff. And hopefully some of you will find this kind of like, at least my personal hierarchy of protective equipment and why I think they're important in that order will help you guys save a little bit of money so that you guys know what I think is worth spending money on and what I do not think most people really need to drop their cash on. But if you are in the market for any of this stuff or other strength equipment, then please check out my new sponsor, cerberusstrength.us, and just check out their stuff. If you like what you see, then you can use the code NEVERSATE to save yourself 10%. It helps support them, it helps support me and the channel, and I just thank you guys for absolutely everything. If you guys did need any information about any of the stuff that I mentioned, all of those links will be down in the description box below, as well as what strength equipment I personally tried and recommend, and supplements that I tried and would recommend, just to help you guys out and make it as simple as possible. So I do thank you so much for absolutely everything, your support, the $25 programs, everything you guys do. It all adds up and it helps so, so much. So I will catch you guys later in the week. Until I do go out something amazing in your lives, keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other. I'll see you then.